This is the Unsweetened Truth with Kristen Pucci, where we talk about everything but don't sugarcoat anything. Welcome back to the Unsweetened Truth Podcast with Kristen Pucci. On today's episode, we're unpacking the last 5 years of cray and business ownership. But I'm not going to do what most people do, that they go, here's all the things that I learned. I am, but I'm going to rebrand it because, of course, we're going to make things a little bit more interesting. So I have loved being a business owner for the last 5 years. Haven't loved it every day, but overall, I would say I have loved being a business owner. I believe that this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I believe that I am 100% in my passion and in my purpose. But what I feel like people don't talk about enough is, I don't want to call it the dark side of business, but the things that I wasn't necessarily prepared for and the things that I didn't necessarily expect to happen when you create a successful business. I don't know that this happens in any other variation of business, but I imagine that I'm not the only person that's having to navigate through it. But what we're going to talk about today is if you are on the verge of starting a business or you have already started a business, I'm hopeful that this podcast can kind of give you some peace of mind. And it can show that you're not alone if you're currently navigating some of these things that I'm talking about that I've navigated before. Or if you are going to start a business, I am hope to better equip you than maybe I was for some of the things that you may or may not encounter throughout your business journey. So just to give a little backstory, Cray Creative and Talent was created back in 2020, right in the beginning of the pandemic. I really had no expectations of how well the business would do, but we did very, very well in our first year. We did 6 figures in a matter of a couple of months, which was incredible. I was hiring within 6 months of the business. And then, I had a whole team by the end of literally the first year. And then in the second year, we grew some more. We had a very successful start, which I know is not 100% common for all business owners. Some people, they're like, hey, it takes your first couple of years to get going and whatever. I have a couple things that I would definitely attribute that to. I think overall, we just had a really good service. I think I had a really great network. I had a pretty strong personal brand, which was wonderful. And but there are some times that I'd be lying to you that I was like, I wish I had a little bit more of an on-ramp, right? I was 26 years old. I was, just fresh out of corporate world. So I'd never run a business before. Neither of my parents had run a business. I had some business ownership and entrepreneurship in my dad's side of the family, but I just went for it. And I had some people in my life at the time that were just incredibly entrepreneurial as well. So they were able to kind of like give me an ear or just lend me, some like technical advice. But the emotional advice, I would say, of that process was really challenging, and it still is challenging. And I think it will always be challenging. Entrepreneurship is just a thing all of its own. You are in the minority of people when you sign up for that life, right? Most people are employees. Neither one is better than the other. I want to be very clear when I say that. I just am so passionate about entrepreneurship because I just feel like I am aligned with my purpose and my passion. But I don't want to give the highlight reel. And that's never been something that I've been about, is I want to be vulnerable. I want to be authentic. And I want this to be an honest podcast. So without further ado, let's get started. Here's something that I didn't expect that happened in business, happened in my entrepreneurial experience. Becoming this new version of myself year after year, month after month, couple months after month, 5 years later, required so much painful growth. And it was a lot of like stripping everything away. Like everything good about me, everything bad about me just really got, I don't even know how I want to explain it. It's just like became someone that was in the public eye, so people were watching me, but like I didn't necessarily expect the painfulness of the growing pains that I was going to have to experience from becoming this new person and what that requires of you of letting go of who you used to be. So something, for example, that I remember and I still navigate through is anything that you have going on inside as an unhealed person, any like toxic characteristics that you hold, any like really insecurities that you have, any weak points, they are going to get pushed on constantly in business ownership. Constantly, constantly, constantly. And I remember early on in my business, like I knew that I wanted to hire people. I didn't so much struggle with delegating, but what happened once I delegated that behavior was now that other person had the control. And it's not from a control piece. I want to make sure I'm going to try to do my best in explaining what this felt like. But I had employees, I had a really great team, and the goal is to hire a good team. But now you run the risk of that really good team leaving you, that really good team going on and moving somewhere else, that really good team. And as a business owner, I think when I first started, and even now it would hurt me, obviously, if my team members left, right? But I know at the end of the day, it's business. That's the point. You know, you're supposed to grow your team so well that either they love staying and take good care of them and they love staying, or, you know, you're supposed to help boost them up in their career to get their dream jobs in the places that they're supposed to go. So, or maybe this is their dream job. I don't know, but you get my point. But there is the element of that. It feels a little bit like abandonment or rejection or whatever if a team member was to leave you. So I remember hiring all these really, really great people, and I still have them on my staff now, but I remember having these thoughts of like, I have to over cater to them in the sense that I hope that they stay. And it was interesting that that was a very unhealthy thing that I was doing, is I felt like I was overcompensating to make Cray such like a great place to work and a good place to work. And it is a good place to work, but I would feel as though I remember the thoughts that I was having. It was from a place of like wanting people to stay instead of just genuinely focusing on, my business and healthy culture and good pay and all of those things. It's at the end of the day, like you have these people around you that you don't want them to leave you, right? You don't want them to leave you. You create this beautiful team and you don't want them to leave. And so I had to heal that in myself. I had unhealthy behaviors and unhealthy thoughts that I was having so that people would not leave. And I don't really have that anymore. Because I'm very secure in who I am as a leader and who I am as a business owner and how I take care of my people. And I try to be as in tune with them as possible. And there's an element of that anxiety and that fear of lack of control. But you control so much more than you think that you do. You know, you can control that whole 50% of your employees' happiness. You can control, you know, how you communicate with them and how you keep them around. So it's like that fear was not real, but that came from prior to starting Cray. It came from prior to starting Cray. So my point with bringing this up is if you have like abandonment wounds or you have rejection or you have insecurities or you have anything going on, those are not going to go away when you create a business and then you have a team and then you have people that you care about on your team. You need to work through those things as early and as quickly as you can, because it will directly impact how you lead. It will directly impact how you feel about yourself and how you feel about how you're running your company. Something else that I had to give up was I didn't protect my energy very well. My friend Marissa said something to me. It was probably either last year or the year before. She was like, Kristen, a lot of people are going to want to do business with you, but you need to be careful about who you do business with. And at the time I was just like, okay, yeah. But then as time went on and went on and went on, I had started experiencing more people. Like anybody, when somebody sees something shiny and good and that can help them, there's like different variations of people that are attracted to that, right? There's the users, there's the abusers, there's the people that just want to siphon your energy. There's the people that genuinely don't have good intentions for you. They want to just use what you have, use who you know, and they siphon and they siphon and they siphon. And to this day, I mean, this even just happened to me recently. There was someone that, you know, wanted to get into business with me. And it was interesting that it was like only like maybe a 2-month stint that we actually were even close. And then she just kind of went away. She went on to her next person. She was able to use that she knew me. She was able to write on her Instagram and, you know, whatever, and say that she collaborated with me. And it was funny because before I got involved, I knew, but then I did it anyway. So I'm still learning that. But going back 5 years ago, I had no boundaries around this. Every single coffee somebody asked me to go out to, I did. Every meeting, I went. Everything, I just went. I was exhausted. I was exhausted. And it just brought me back to what my friend Marissa said, that it was just like, people will waste your time. They will waste your energy. They will want your energy, but you need to decide who you want to give it to. And I think, again, that just trails back to the who am I letting go? This version of myself that maybe wasn't quite as confident, didn't have as much self-worth, didn't really have as much love for myself. I have such an appreciation for peace now, and anything that affects my peace, I like very quickly get rid of now. And this could be a person, this could be a thing, it could be a thought, it could be a hobby, it could be whatever it is. I am so in love with peace now that if you're a client, and even if you're a big paying client for me, there was a time I was holding on to that just because of the money, like money, 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 money. And now I'm at a place that I would rather not have that money, but have better peace for myself and my team. And I'll deal with the little bit of stress, the temporary stress of, okay, what are we doing with money this month? How are we going to like shuffle things around or whatever? I'd rather deal with that now. I used to be so scared of it. I used to be so scared of that temporary pain of like the cash flow and the crunching of the numbers to eliminate a client that was draining my energy, affecting my peace, affecting my team's peace. So that was a hard process to go through. That was hard. There's a lot of fear in that as a business owner. You devalue yourself. You give discounts. You hold on to people longer than you should. I would let clients break up with me instead of me breaking up with them. And I'm just in a much different place now. And I think it's just a sense of security. It's a sense of confidence. I feel as though I have a proven concept now that when I first started my business, I didn't feel like I had. So I didn't feel like I could be as deliberate with who I was doing business with and who I wasn't, because I just didn't have the confidence that I have now. So, but stripping that off, guys, that was hard. That was hard going through that. And I remember the first client that I like canceled a contract with because I was unhappy with them and I was so scared to do it. But then right after I did it, I was like, why did I wait so freaking long to do that? Because that's absolutely ridiculous. So that's something that I definitely had to let go of. Another thing that you're going to have to let go of, and that I had to let go of, is the opinions and gossip of other people. I had allowed myself to be stuck in this little freaking bird cage for so long because that's where people wanted me to be. It's really sad to me how many people want great people to be small. And how many people they let their insecurities, their jealousy, their ego, their enviness of other people, they want to keep them in this cage. They want to keep them in this box. And I let them. I let them do that to me. I watered myself down purposely because because they were in the cage. So I didn't want to leave the cage, because then if I left the cage, they were going to feel a certain way about me, or they were going to say things about me, or they were going to we want to be liked. So I had to give that up. And that's a more recent one, guys. I would say like in the last 5 years, I would say that I probably figured that out in the last 6 months, getting okay with people. And I'm right now, I'm currently getting a absolutely concentrated crash course in people publicly not saying kind things about you. So it's interesting that as you go through certain layers in your career, you level up. Like at once it was just kind of like little chitter chatter, here. And then it's like, okay, you kind of hear about this other person, and then you hear about this other person. And now I'm, experiencing, I'd say, a very large variation of that. And it's so crazy that it's the biggest version of it that it's ever been, but I care the least. Like, I cared the least. I cared more what people said about me when it was just like one person and another person at a networking event, like chitty chatting in the corner. That hurt me so deeply. And I would have to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. And now it's just like at so much of a bigger scale. And I'm like, I don't care. I know you're wrong. I know you're lying. I know you're not saying any of these things that are true. I know exactly who I am. And you know what? All the people that matter that I actually would want to be in a room with know who I am too. So if there's people out there that believe things that aren't true about me, they don't even know who I am. Of course they're going to believe the other person. They don't even know who I am. And I am so at peace about it. My heart rate when I sleep now is lower than it's ever been. And I just think it's so amazing that that almost needs to get beat out of you. It has to get beat out of you. I didn't casually learn that, guys. I didn't like over a short period of time just be like, oh, I just don't care what people think about me. No, it literally got ripped out of me. It got ripped out of me. And this is for anybody out there who has also maybe had a successful business. There are situations that are going to happen when you elevate out of that box and that cage that people had you in before. People are going to betray you. People are going to hurt you. People are going to say things about you. People are going to be mad that you're not playing small with them anymore. People are going to be mad that you chose to be risky and you wanted more for yourself because they won't do that for themselves. It's really quite sick what happens when somebody stops playing small with the people that they used to play with. It's just really sad that throughout my experience in business, I've had friends betray me, right? Like I've had it's funny, and it's from the inside, right? Like they aren't my like these enemies from far, far away. They're from the inside. They're people that I have considered to be some of my closest and my best friends. They're the ones that have betrayed me the most. And that is so painful to go through. I experienced it very, very early on in my career in business. I experienced it about 6 months into my business. My best friend had ratted me out to one of my competitors. I don't know why she did it. I'm not going to even spend any time on wondering why. But it was very early on and very quick, and that hurt me so deeply. I was like, you and I have been friends for so long. Why would you have said what you said? Why did you tell them everything that I had going on? Why were you telling them the inner workings of my business and the things you and I had chatted about? Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And I think I'm happy that I don't understand why someone would do that. And, 5 years later, someone has done it again, and it's from the inside. It's from your closest friendships. And again, I can't understand why that happens, but I just know that it does. And I want you to know that it does. And I learned that in a book. It was The 48 Laws of Power. It's a fascinating book, but it's just really interesting. And he talks about how your enemies, don't be worried about your enemies that you know are your enemies. Be worried about your enemies that you don't know are your enemies, or be worried about the enemies that are actually your friends. And yeah, so that was something that was very difficult. And like, guys, that could be your friends. It could be your family members. Like, I know, that people have struggled with things, and I've even struggled in my own family, that like once you start making different money that you had made before, people start treating you different, right? And you're very inclined when you first start your business to want to hire your friends. You want to share in this exciting wealth and this exciting business. You want to share it with the people that you love the most, which are your family and your friends and your whatever. But not everybody has the same good intentions. Not everybody, has those intentions. There's people that literally just want to be friends with you so they can go on the fun trips, or they can ride in the car, or they can, they can say that they've been on your podcast, or that they've been in a social media post, or they hang out with you. Like, there's literally people that exist like that. And it's hard to kind of wrap your head around when your intentions are pure and your intentions are good, but just know that it exists. And, you just really have to protect your energy, and you really have to protect, you just really have to start thinking about life differently. And it's sad that I feel as though I don't want to say I've been hardened, but I've definitely, built a moat. I've built a moat around my castle, and I have all of my people, my employees inside, and my bestie girlfriends inside, and, the people in my family, my closest family members, and my dog. And, I have all those people inside my little castle with me, but like, it's damn hard to get inside of that group now. It's really hard to get inside that group. And there was a time that I was like, come on in. You want to come in? We want you to come in. And now I'm like, that's great. You want to come in. Show me why you deserve to come in. Which can sound however it sounds. But at the end of the day, when you get to a certain place in your career, you do need to protect yourself, and you need to protect your people. So just know that may happen. Ooh, this is a big one. Guys, there are times, and I'm sure anybody who is very career oriented will appreciate what I'm about to say. Maybe especially women. But there's times that I wish I was not so career oriented. There's times I wish I was not so driven. There's times that I wish that I really don't want to say this the wrong way, because it really is coming from a good place, but there's times that I wish that I wasn't so career oriented and I would have done the more traditional route, that I would have gotten married younger and I would have had just like my life wasn't so, and my identity wasn't so encompassed with what I do for work. Like, and it took me a really long time. Like, guys, I used to get really upset about that because that affected being the way that I am and wanting this continuous growth and this continuous learning and this like yearning to just be better and better, whether that's like emotionally, physically, spiritually. Like, I just have this yearning to be better. But I want to be very clear with that. I think there's a difference between like being at peace with where you are, but then excited for the next level. And then there's a difference with someone who's like never at peace. Like, they're never okay with where they are. I could stay where I am right now and I'm very happy. I would do other hobbies and do other things. I just love variety. But there's a difference in that. But I would be lying to you if there's, you know, if like a simpler life is so attractive, and I'm jealous of that sometimes. Like, it's funny. I saw a reel, and I'd love to send this to my girlfriend group because we are all at just such different stages. But it's like one person's engaged, the other person's married and with kids. One person's talking about their divorce, the other one's starting a business, and then the other one's petting koalas out in Australia. And it's just, there's part of me that wishes that I wasn't the friend that started the business, and I wasn't the friend that like had all of this stress and this anxiety and this responsibility. Just the weight of the responsibility is a lot. And there's a lot of times that I've just had to accept, and I've come to terms with that now, that that is just what my calling is. And that's what I'm supposed to do. And I've accepted the calling. I'd be lying to you if I said that it never creeped in again. Then I'm like, I would love to just, not have a job and I could just do all of my hobbies and the things that I really love. There's times that creeps in, and maybe there'll be a time in my life that I am like that and I'll be so at peace with it. But that's just not where I am right now. And knowing too, with this business ownership, if you're a younger entrepreneur, or you're someone, closer to my age, like, you are going to have to forgo some of those other things because you just don't have time and because you have to focus. Like, I'd be lying to you as well if that I'm not a bit sad that I'm not married yet and I haven't done the kids thing, and I probably won't, at least for a couple years. And I have things that I have to do to keep all the ships the way that they're supposed to be. And I forgoed that. Right? Like, my business was my child. And I have friends that have single digit, double digit age kids, and that's my business. And you're going to go through phases that you're going to be like, dang, why did I even do this to myself? Why did I even start this? Why did I get into this? I could have just, right? I could have just, why did I want to take this big leap and make this big step and do all of these crazy things that are stressful and have so much responsibility and run you all over the country and all over the world? Why did I do this to myself? But then you'll have times that will remind you why you did it. And I get those times for me are seeing my team get so excited for themselves, but also for us, celebrating milestones. There's been such an amount of restoration that I feel like has occurred for me running my own business. I had a wild career before Cray, guys. Wild career. And my team's pushing me to tell more of those stories. And so I think on the last pod, I had a little story that I told, and there'll be more that I'll tell today. But I feel as though being a business owner and doing my own thing has restored me in so many different ways. It has brought me back what has been taken from me. It has restored friendships. It has restored trust. It has restored confidence, loyalty. I have so much confidence in myself now that I didn't before, and that I think a lot of young women don't have. I think a majority of us as young women would say that we are not confident, and that could either be professionally or personally or both. And I just have so much confidence in myself now because of all the things that I've been through while I've run this business, that there's not very much I'm scared of that could come at us. There's not very much that I'm scared. Will I be scared for a little bit? Will I get a little tinge of scared? Sure, I'm still human. I'll still be scared, but I do it scared anyway. I let myself feel scared for a little bit, but then I'm like, no, I'm fighting back. I'm not going to stay here, and I don't like to stay there for long. But yeah, I thought I wanted to share that part because I just truly believe that it's okay to be doing the right thing for yourself and have it have so much responsibility and have so much weight on your shoulders, and to have wished that you didn't choose that. Just know that it's so normal, and you're going to have days like that, that you want to take on a ton of responsibility, and then there's days that you regret taking on the responsibility. It's normal. You'll get through it. Ride it like a wave. The next thing I want to talk about is the sacrifices that people don't see that you have to make when you're a business owner. I have this conversation with my girlfriends. We actually just talked about it the other day in this women's group that I run. And one of the women was just talking about how she's like, I don't understand. She's like, and I hate this even is coming out of my mouth, but she's like, I don't understand why people are jealous of me. If they knew all of the bullshit and all the stuff that I have to deal with behind the scenes, like they would not want to trade places. And I resonated so much with her when I heard that, because same. Like when you take on something so challenging and so difficult, it's really hard for me. I have such a level of, I guess, reflection. There's times that I still get envious or I still get jealous of other people, of course, but I have just such a level of like awareness now of like how much it actually takes to show up as something and to accomplish something that, like, I can't even imagine what somebody did to do that. And that's what I struggle with sometimes when these situations have happened, and they will, come across your time when you're a business owner, that when someone, is unkind to you or they act in like a jealous manner or something, it's like, you want to trade places? I will happily trade places. Like, so you can feel what this feels like. And it doesn't just happen by luck. People are not gifted more than others. They don't have, all of these things that you are lacking. It comes with sacrifices. It comes with pain. It comes with other things. And like, I think there's not a lot of people that get into business ownership because it's hard. It is hard emotionally. It is hard physically. It is hard spiritually. It is hard. It is just hard. And you have to, I want to be very clear. It is worth it. If you feel called for business ownership, it is worth it, but it is hard. It is hard on your body. It is hard on your brain. It is hard on everyone around you. It is hard. And you have to go into it knowing that it's hard. And how are you going to best equip yourself for that hard? Because it's also hard too, going to a dead end job every single day and you absolutely hate your life and you hate your boss and you hate everything and you have a 45-minute commute, whatever. I did it. I hated it. That's hard too. So you get to pick your hard. And I prefer this hard, but it's hard. And one of the things that I've learned that was hard was just about loneliness. The loneliness that will occur when you are a business owner. And I'm going to speak specifically to my experience because other people may not be as lonely, but I'm pretty sure they are because I've sat in a lot of different CEO groups. But I did not recognize, nor was I prepared for, the loneliness of business ownership. Like, I didn't necessarily recognize, because prior to being a business owner, I was much more, how would I explain this? I was more similar to my friends, right? Like, I was the same age. We all had jobs. We all were dating. We all were whatever. And so our conversations were different. Like, I felt like I could resonate more with conversations. They could resonate more with my conversations. And then when I became a business owner, I started having to deal with things that they weren't dealing with. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I have a phenomenal friend group. They support me in so many ways. But there is an element of that when somebody like hasn't been through something, right? Like they don't necessarily know how to even resonate with you or the questions to ask or whatever. And sometimes you carry so much weight that you don't even bring it up. But like, I remember this one specific time in Cray, and there's been a lot of times, but one just always hits my mind because I was so young in my business and I just was so just ill-equipped for the loneliness. There was a time a couple years into my business, I had to fire 2 people in the exact same day. And they were like within an hour of each other because one was doing something, the other one was doing something else. And I was like, okay, we're gone. I'm done with this. We're not dealing with it. And I had fired both of them in the exact same day. And the weight and stress of having to do that, oh my gosh, firing somebody is horrible. It is a horrible feeling, especially somebody that you like. And then having to do it if they in some way, like if it's quick, like I would say it's a little bit different when like, that like having to fire somebody's coming. But one, I would say both were kind of like, there was a drastic shift in character very quickly. And I then had to switch how I had to operate as well. And I guess I could sit there and say it was a drastic shift in character. Maybe their character was just finally revealed. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But what I want to focus on is the fact that I had to make this really, really big decision about firing 2 people in the exact same day. And I was such a young entrepreneur. I was so new and I didn't know what to do. I knew how to fire somebody just because I'd been doing recruiting prior and I knew all the stipulations within the legalities and whatever. But the actual emotional part of that was so challenging. And it was just like, people can say, oh, wow, that's really hard. Oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. But just there's a loneliness to it when you're unmarried. Your family doesn't, you have a certain relationship with your family and, your friends don't have businesses and you just sit in it. Like you kind of just sit in it. And I imagine there's part of that I do to myself as well, because I'm sitting here talking and I'm thinking about one of my good friends and how like her brother died. Like, a couple years ago, and young. It was a horrible situation. And I imagine she probably felt pretty similar. So it's interesting actually talking about this with you on the pod. I'm almost getting like a level of understanding that I think I'm isolating myself. I think we probably isolate ourselves because we think that people maybe can't handle what we're talking about or what we're going through. But it probably feels like anything else that you're dealing with something really big and you just kind of keep it quiet and you keep it hidden. But that's something that you will do to yourself. You will isolate yourself and then you will also be lonely as well. Part of it is self-inflicted. Part of it's just the nature of the job. But, yeah, the loneliness is hard. And what I would recommend on how to get out of the loneliness is you just need to find other people that are going through the same things that you are. Like, I'll use my friend Jess as an example. She just found very quickly that she's like, I need to go to grief groups. Like I am really struggling with the loss of my brother and I need to be doing that. I found my own equivalent for that, for what I needed. I found, CEO groups. I found people that were dealing with the things that I was dealing with. I've started my own group as well because I've just found that there's needs for other things. And don't sit in that. Don't sit in that. There is never something that has never been experienced by somebody else before. Don't sit in it. And our minds can trick us and make us think that that's the case, but that is not true. So I'm just giving you a heads up. You are going to feel lonely. You are going to feel alone. You're going to feel like you can't talk to your spouse or to your family or to your kids or to your friends. There are other people out there that understand and know what you're going through. And I would just recommend in making some acquaintances, making some friends, start a group even of other business owners that are in the same stage, general, they don't even have to be the same age, but if you want them to be, sure, but they're in the same stages as you, and you guys can just all rely on each other. Like somebody would have a grief group or somebody would have a counseling group or somebody have whatever. You need to create the same thing for yourself. And if my business again blew up in a local level very quickly. I purposely, grew my social media following, which obviously directly impacted the success of my business. But again, I'd be lying to you at 26 years old. It kind of stinks that you can't go out and do all the other things that the 26-year-olds are doing and putting it on your Instagram and on your story and on your Snapchat and everywhere else. The privacy piece is really interesting. And I feel like I should have expected it, but I didn't expect what it was going to make me feel like. Like I wasn't, when you're in your 20s, you're usually out, having fun, drinking with your friends, going out to bars, partying, dating, doing different things like that. But I had a reputation, a professional reputation that I had to protect. And so there was an element that I feel like I had to grow up really, really fast towards like the tail end of my 20s. Because it was very infrequent that I would go somewhere out to dinner, to a bar, to just places socially in Central PA that I wouldn't know somebody or somebody wouldn't know me. So you're just being watched, and that's like on a very small scale. So trust me, like even with the talents that we work with, when they have hundreds of thousands of followers or they've been on commercials or whatever, and you just have all of these people watching you, I understand how difficult and challenging that is. But I just had to take, I feel like, an extra layer of precaution, which I'm now sitting here and thinking about it, that it probably was good, right? But like I couldn't be going all crazy and doing all the crazy stuff publicly because wasn't good. So my fun came in different ways, and my girlfriends were really great about that they knew that was a thing. And I never even asked them. So I do really appreciate that from my girlfriends, is that like we would be somewhere and like, maybe this is just my girl group, or maybe it's all girl groups, I don't know, but like we lock eyes. Like we know when someone's there or someone's whatever. And so like we're always watching out for each other in that sense too. So I just appreciate that they've always been really flexible with like trips or wanting to go somewhere, and who doesn't love a trip? But the privacy element was really, really different. And like even sharing dating, I just truly believe, when you have a brand and you have a strong personal brand, you have to be very, very careful who you align your brand to, especially when you haven't worked out knowing exactly who that person is and their character and what they're all about. If you hook your successful wagon to their horse, to their donkey, it will directly impact your brand. And some people can sit here and tell me, oh my gosh, Kristen, that's so extreme. No, it's not. If you genuinely have worked hard to build your company and build your brand, you need to put boundaries around it. You need to have parameters, and you need to have a moat. You can't allow anyone and anything to come into your life and into your business. You cannot align your brand with other people's brands. It will affect your brand. You will now get a new brand because of the fact that you are doing those types of behaviors. So I'm very protective of that for myself. I'm protective of that of our clients. If you're going to collaborate with somebody and you're going to publicly show that you're aligned with someone, you have to be very careful about that. Of course, are there always the times that people surprise you? Absolutely. If someone successfully deceives you and they were good at it, that's not your fault. They tried to deceive you. Okay? There's a difference. We're moving on to defining moments in divine timing, because I genuinely believe if you have a calling, it will keep calling until you pick up that little telephone and you go, hello, I'm ready. And it's funny when that happens, because I didn't want to start a business for a long time. And I was like nervous too. And I had all this fear and I was worried about certain things. And then I did it. And then it was like, bing, doors open, windows open, boop, 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 boop. Like all these things started happening that were so positive and so great. And so just, it continued to remind me why I started. And there were so many things that happened. And if you've listened to the podcast before, you know it's no surprise. I love God. I love Jesus. I'm very strong in my faith. And I believe that what I'm doing right now is directly aligned with what he wants me to be doing. I have not arrived. He did not want me to be the owner of just Cray Creative and Talent. Like he wanted me to be in a leadership role. He brought me through things in my life so that way I could speak and expand and talk to people about them. He wanted me to lead a team. It's just amazing that when I genuinely believe, if you have a calling, and it doesn't have to be business ownership, it could be anything. It could be sports, it could be motherhood, it could be whatever it is. You have that calling, and if you pick up that telephone and you go, okay, God, I'm ready now. He's like, game on. Let's go. He makes it happen for you. There have been so many times in my business that I'm like, a little stressed about money. And I'm like, oh no. Like say we, get rid of a toxic client, or we get rid of whatever. And I get rid of them and I change things for the betterment of the company, but then I am crunched financially. And then we get this huge project. And then we get this huge project that's so aligned, and it comes out of nowhere. It's literally a gift from God. Like it literally comes out of nowhere. I feel as though it's not like I was cold calling people. It hit my email. It hit my LinkedIn messages. One of my employees, somebody reached out to them. Literally, there's been so many times that has happened with employees. I didn't recruit any of my employees. I genuinely believe that every single one of my employees is a literal gift from God. Like every single one of them went into my inbox. What? That's craziness. Not one of my employees did I recruit, and they are incredible. And I've had them. Every single one has been there for a long period of time. We just hired Christy. She's newer, but I've known her for years. She came in my inbox. I just am so aligned now compared to where I used to be before, of like thinking I had to do everything and I had to like work hard. Like I had to like hustle to get, like I had to do a lot to get a lot. When at the end of the day, I've found you can just be you and good things will come. Good things don't always have to come out of doing a lot of good things. Like you can just sit, be still, keep your eyes on him and keep rolling and going, I don't know where we're going, but I trust you where we're going. And I trust that you're going to bring me through it. And I trust that this is where I'm supposed to be going. And he just has delivered clients, employees, connections, trips, opportunities, wisdom, like all of these things for me to be able to run this business that are not my own. And so I just want to say that if you are someone who maybe is not aligned with their faith journey, you believe more in universe and energy and whatever, or if you believe in God, you know, when you get aligned, when you are healed and when you are around the right people, doing the right stuff, making the right decisions, you are going to do nothing but thrive. You are going to do absolutely nothing but thrive. So even though there's all these sacrifices and these hard things and these difficult stuff that you're going to do, anything worth it is hard. Anything worth it is hard. But I just want you guys to know the hard that comes with what's worth it, if that makes sense. I'd say another defining moment, guys, was when I started trusting my gut. I grew up in an environment that caused me to not trust myself, not trust my own feelings, not trust how I felt, not trust what I was thinking. I grew up in an environment that didn't even, it made me question my own thoughts I was having. So I grew up for a really long time not trusting how I felt, what I thought, what I was thinking, like that my intuition, right? Was it anxiety? Is that actually what's going on? No, you don't feel that way. Like, that's not how you feel, And it's amazing that when I healed and I went to counseling and I did all this therapy and whatever, and I was like, I don't want to be like this anymore. Like, I want to really, it is amazing all the doors and the opportunities that open up for you when you actually start trusting yourself. You have this God-given intuition that's, it's deep in here. And it's just like when you're somewhere and something feels off, or you just know and something feels off, or you're like, that's good, that we know. It is a difference between like I'm happy, I'm sad. I'm going to challenge you, if you are not aligned with your gut, if you feel like you question yourself and you question, is this right for me? Is this not right for me? Figure out how you can get as closely aligned to your intuition again. What is causing you to be out of alignment? What is causing you to not trust yourself? What is causing you, to not be aligned? And figure that out. Figure that out as quickly as you can. It will be so impactful for you as a leader and as an owner and as a business owner and all of those things. And that was a defining moment for me when I was like, you know what? I can trust myself. And that, truthfully, guys, if I was looking back, came from not trusting myself. But then once something, and you guys have probably all been through this, you get into business with somebody, or you get in a relationship with somebody, or you hire somebody, or whatever, you work with a subcontractor, you knew at the beginning, you knew they weren't good. But you did it anyway because you're like, maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe I'm not sure. Maybe. And the exact outcome or worse occurred that you knew because they weren't good in the beginning. You knew it. You need to start trusting that. And there's even times I still struggle with it now. I get tempted by, big dollar signs, or I get tempted by opportunity, or I get tempted by somebody with a big following and it could lead to more work or whatever. And it could lead to something fun or cool or whatever. I get tempted all the time. I'm human just like everybody else. I still accept bad jobs, bad people, bad things. I still do it. I just do it way less than I did before. It's the minority instead of the majority before. But if you can get so aligned, try to get as aligned as you can with that inner self and that compass and that map, you will make so much better decisions. And it won't even make sense why you're making a decision. Like I have this conversation with my dad all the time. He's like, he'll say something and I was like, nope, we need to do it. And he'd be like, well, why? And I'll be like, we just do. And at the beginning, when he first started working for us, he questioned me a little bit more. And now he's just like, okay. And I'd have to ask him why that is, but I have an inkling is that because he knows that I'm like crazy and I have this crazy amount of faith and I just have this crazy amount of drive and I am just a massive problem solver and I have such an incredible team that like I will come up with a crazy idea and my team's like, all right, it's crazy, but how are we going to do it? And then we go do it. And there's like rarely been something that we haven't done. Like we literally give us a problem. We will solve it. Give us something without a clear compass and we will figure it out. we're just such good master figure it outers. And I think we're just so in tune with ourselves. We watch, we're very observant of other people. We're very reluctant on who we get involved with and who we don't. And yeah, I just think that's such a divine thing, and a defining moment for us. Things are harder than what they look like. And I even was having a meeting with a client yesterday that he's like, I think I maybe underestimated how difficult this was going to be to start my own business. I mean, maybe I should be grateful. It's only 2 months in, and I should. And people, I think, just really underestimate how hard business ownership is and the sacrifices you have to make. You sacrifice your time, you sacrifice your resources, you sacrifice your energy. But it's better. It just is hard. And I'm not someone who's working evenings and weekends. It's like I'm not showing up for, like, I'm literally about to head out the door to Florida to go to my brother's graduation. Like, I show up for people. It is important, and that's a value. So I think, know that all these things are difficult, but make it work for you. Something that's important to me is showing up. I will show up for people because there are times that people didn't show up for me. And so a priority and a goal of mine is like, I have created this business in the way that it is because I want to have the freedom and the resources to show up for people that are important to me. I don't care if you are moving and you need someone to freaking be there at 6 o'clock in the morning and lifting and hiking stuff out of your house. I've done that for my friends. I don't care if you are someone who is going through a horrible situation. I have to fly across the country to help you. I will be there. I don't care if you're someone that I need to drop everything for whatever. And I will do it. I will do it. My brother's in a bad situation and I need to Venmo him some money. If I have a friend who's struggling in between a situation financially and I can help them from a resources standpoint. If I can just listen and offer advice or just my own presence or whatever it is, I am thankful that this business has provided me the resources to be able to love the people around me even better and has allowed me to use my resources to help the people around me, the ones that are truly good for me and truly wonderful for me. But again, it just all comes with a cost. And you just get to decide what costs it is for you and which one's important. And yeah. So I have a couple lists of lessons that have changed everything for me. But they're just things that I believe now that I didn't necessarily believe in the beginning. One is that alignment matters more than money. There's a time in my business I was obsessed with, like, I need to make money here, I need to make money there, money. And I did business that was below what we should have been doing. I was doing it for people that I shouldn't have been doing business for, just because, especially when you get started, you're just so tempted to take on any type of business. And I know that because even talking with my coaching clients in the beginning, their first contract they put out, they know their pricing, they know what they're supposed to do, but they even want to discount it because they're worried that they're not going to get the job. And I'm like, don't be focused on the discount. Don't be focused on that. Be focused on your value, be focused on what you're worth. And that's what you need to be focused on. Don't be focused on discounting the work and trying to fit the work into whatever budget or whatever this one person has. I did that way too much in the beginning and it hurt me longer because then I had to, we still, even now, 5 years, have to kind of like, I don't know, prune off clients that were a certain way or whatever, now 5 years in. That hurt me by accepting work that was not good for me. The positive of that, though, you learn very quickly what type of people you want to work with and which ones you don't. So you do, that probably is just a nature, that's just naturally what you're going to have to go through to figure out who your best clients are and who are not. But just don't be tempted by the dollar signs. You must protect your peace to protect your purpose. Peace is important and you need to be focused on peace. And if anything that is affecting your peace, there was a time in my life that I was anxious every single day for years on end. And it's because I was in a bad work environment. I was in a bad relationship. I was just, everything around me made me so anxious. And I've said this on the podcast before, I will say it again. If you are someone who is incredibly anxious constantly, all the time, morning till night, there's probably something biologically going on. And we got to go get that checked out. But I genuinely believe that you are unaligned. You're with the wrong person. You're in the wrong place. You're doing the wrong thing. Your body is uncomfortable. You have this beautiful radar system in your body, these alarms that are firing constantly. Figure out who you're anxious around. Figure out why you're anxious. Figure out what environments you're anxious in. Make a notebook, write it down, figure out what's the same, and get rid of it. Stop staying in the anxiety and thinking that it's normal and thinking that that's how you're supposed to live. That's not how you're supposed to live. And I know it because I lived it. I wish I had this podcast. I wouldn't have been able to even do it. So I can't even sit here and say, I wish I had this podcast then. I wouldn't have been able to sit here on camera. I wouldn't even be able to talk in front of other people. This right here would have given me so much anxiety. I was unaligned in what I was supposed to be doing. So you need to try to, if you can get your body in an environment that is safe and comfortable and whatever, maybe not comfortable, comfortable might not be the wrong word, safe. We'll just say safe. You would be so impressed with all the things that you would be accomplishing if you could just get your body into a safe environment. Healing isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. If you are going to be hiring staff, having employees, managing, leading, having a presence, please heal yourself. Do not pass your own junk onto your employees, onto your friends, onto whoever else that it is. All of this junk that you have prior to business ownership is going to follow you right into business ownership. And then it was at one point just your problem, and now it's everybody else's problem. You got a control issue. Guess what? Now all your employees also have a control issue. You've got an insecurity issue. Great. That shines through to your team. You have this, it'll show through that. So if you want to be as successful as you can in the business that you are going to be running, you need to heal yourself. Any of these like deep, yucky, gross things that just follow you around, you need to go to therapy. You need to go to counseling. You need to work whatever those things are out, because it's not everybody else's problem around you to deal with it. You're quick-tempered. You lack self-control. You're really rash. You have attitude, whatever it is. Your team now gets to deal with it. Not fair. I'm not perfect. My team knows there's days that I'm hot, and they are like, oh boy. I imagine, and I have an employee sitting right here, Carolyn. There's probably times that I'm in a mood, and one of them knows I'm in a mood, and the other ones know I'm in a mood because one lets them know that I'm in a mood, right? I know it. I know they do that. Now, that's normal. That's healthy. Like, I'm not perfect, right? I don't show up every day as this perfect person that has a perfect attitude every single freaking day. I'm human just like everybody else. I'm going to have attitude just like everybody else. But I'm talking about the consistent thing. I'm talking about the people avoid you because of a certain way, right? Or, the company culture, because you are afraid of conflict. Now, the entire company is running around like chickens with their heads cut off because nobody is willing to fire the cancer person in the group. And now the whole company culture is messed up. Lack of wanting to take leadership, avoiding things. It's going to affect the entire company. You have to heal. You have to heal, period. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Say it again for the people in the back. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Because I have tried to grow so much and learn so much, whatever, people call me an old soul. I have this wisdom that I feel like I want to share with everybody else. Kristen, guess what? Not everybody fucking wants it. Okay? Not everybody wants it. Not everybody wants the answer. Not everybody wants to know. It took me 31 years to figure that out. I'm like, doesn't everybody want to be great? Doesn't everybody want to be awesome? Doesn't everybody want to expand in their career? Don't you all want to be healed? Don't you all want to be? No, Kristen, they don't. Okay? They don't. And that's okay. They can be wherever they are and you can be where you are. However, I figured out why I did that. And this was my own healing that I had to do. Because I wanted them to come with me. I was going somewhere new and I didn't want to have to leave them behind. I was going somewhere new and I didn't want to leave them behind. So I was like, come with me. There's a better way. We can go to this place. It's so fun. It's so great. And we'll be happy and we'll be helped. No, maybe they don't want to go there. Okay, leave them. Can you love them from where they are? Or is this like a decision-making thing that you have to leave them there forever? That's what you get to decide. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should. And that's going back to the, protecting your energy, protecting your peace. Just because somebody wants to go on coffee with you. If I went on every single coffee meeting ever with every single person, it would be exhausting. I would go to coffee every single 15 minutes for the 40 hours of my work week. And it would be a waste of my time. I rarely go on stuff anymore. I always joke I say I go on 2 meetings. I go on meetings with people that make me laugh, and I go on meetings with people that make me money. That's it. Nobody else. And if I don't know that if there's somebody that is either going to make me laugh or make me money, I'm not going on a meeting with you. It's a waste of my time. Could sound horrible. Don't care. People's opinions don't pay your bills. Another thing that took me a long time to figure out. There's nobody above you that is criticizing what you're doing. People that are above you, people that are making more money than you, people that are more successful about you, they are so excited that somebody else is trying to do what they've already done. So they want to like bring more people there. The only people that are criticizing you, the only people that are trying to tear you down are the people that are below you. They don't want you to go. They don't want you to leave. They don't want you. If you do more than someone else and they aren't willing to put the work in to get there, they don't like you for that. I've felt that way before. I know exactly what that feeling comes from. I want that you have, but I'm not willing to put the work in to get it. So instead of recognizing that, I'm going to hate you for it. It's horrible, but we all do it. Your gut is your most valuable advisor. We just talked about that. Your gut is going to keep you safe. It's going to keep you smart. It's going to keep you ahead of the game. You're going to make decisions based off your gut that you don't even realize why you're making them. But then like 6 months down the road, you're going to go, okay, that makes sense. Being misunderstood is not a crisis. And it was for me for a very long time. Going back to the wanting to be liked, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be, again, we talked about this just the other day in my women's group. It's primal to want to be accepted and liked. You know, we were talking about how if you're just like, you get separated from your tribe and you're just floating out somewhere and another tribe comes along, they're either going to kill you or they're going to take you in, you know? And I know that that's like so nuts to think about, but it's very true. And like, I think it's very primal to want to be liked by most people, right? But we're living in a different time now that like, it's okay to not be liked by the masses. It's okay to not be liked by everyone, to not be accepted by everyone. And being misunderstood again is not a crisis. It's okay if people don't like you. It's okay if people don't agree with what you're doing. In some ways, obviously, in other ways, it is not from like legal perspective, but it's okay if people don't agree with what you're doing. If they wouldn't do it the way that you're doing, that's okay. That's why there's multiple companies with selling the same thing, just a different way. Who cares? 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I want to leave you with a couple words of encouragement. Things that if I was told these years ago, it actually resonated. I might have been told them and I just forgot. But if you're hearing it for the first time and it changes how you look at business ownership or currently where you are in business ownership or where you're starting, or if you're just struggling with things in general, I'm hoping that these can encourage you. The first one is don't mistake fear for a sign to stop. Many times I have thought something is wrong because I'm scared to do it. And that's not true. It can be scary doing the right thing. It can be scary doing the right thing. And it can be hard making the right decisions. Not just bad. Fear does not equal bad, you know? So don't stop just because you're scared. Do it scared and do it anyway. Stop taking advice from people who haven't done it. Stop taking advice from people just kind of like period. You know? Especially in the beginning, if I asked everybody's opinion about whether or not I should have started a business, my parents absolutely would have talked me out of it. Absolutely, they would have talked me out of it, especially if it was my father, especially if my father had talked me out of it, because I still was kind of in that, like, I am through and through my father's daughter. I'm always, even sometimes to this day, looking for his like blessing on things. And if I had done that and looked for it, I probably would not have started my business because my parents are both engineers. They like details. They like the clear plan. And I remember just coming to them like, I'm starting a business in the middle of COVID with no money. Surprise. And they were like, okay. And I don't remember getting any pushback. I wish I could have like actually journaled and like documented that moment, but I don't remember getting any pushback. I just remember being like, okay, go for it. And then I did it. And now my dad works for me. So it's funny how that all works out. You don't need to know everything to start. Again, just had a meeting with one of my clients the other day. He's like working on step 10 and step 30 and step 30. And I'm like, just start, just do it. Just do step 1. And then once you complete step 1, you'll see what step 2 is. And then you'll see what step 2 is. And then you'll go to step 3. If you only focus on step 10 in knowing everything and being prepared for when everything comes. Just make it exist now, make it good later. Just make it exist. You don't need to pick the perfect company name and the perfect. There's so many things that hold people back because they don't think something's perfect right when they start. You know how many times I've changed Cray? I've changed wording. I've changed colors. I've changed designs. I've changed concepts. I've changed packages so many different times. You just move with it. It's a dance, guys. Like, you're not dancing. I am not anywhere similar or offering the same stuff that I was 5 years ago. And that's because I learned. I figured out what I liked. I figured out what I didn't like. I failed at stuff. I did great at things. And then it aligned with us. And then you get a team too, and then you're doing it as a group. So it's not just all about me. What do they like to do? What do they find fun? Who do they like working with? Now, you can't have your team run, obviously, the whole thing, but you do need to take that in consideration. You want your team to be happy. You want them to do their best work. Ask them, what do they do their best work on? Don't lose yourself trying to please everyone. Yikes. That's another one. Not touching that one. People pleasing is real dangerous, guys. It keeps you in the cage. Like I said earlier, it keeps you in that cage. It makes you water yourself down. It makes you stay, makes you stuck. Don't do that. I know it's challenging. I know it's difficult, and it was hard, but I would do it again. Now that I'm on the other side of it, I would do it again. When I was in it, I don't know that I would say I would do it again. But don't try to please everybody. Don't try to have everybody like you. Not even everybody likes themselves. And you're worried about whether or not they like you. That's craziness. Crazy behavior. The wrong clients will make you hate your gift. They will make you hate what you love. The wrong clients will make you not want to show up for your absolute favorite thing to do. They will make you dread going to work. They will make you dread working on a project. They will make you hate what you do. They will make your employees hate what they do. They will drain and suck their energy. You have to protect your team, and you have to make sure that your clientele is good clientele. Nobody has 100% good clientele. Everybody has a fraction of their book of business that they hate. Everybody does. Just make sure you keep them in boundaries and in parameters. Burnout isn't noble. Boundaries are. No one's giving you a trophy when you burn yourself out and you have a bunch of ailments and issues and you have anxiety and all of these problems and you've made all of this money and your body literally can't keep up with it. And you've lost, any relationship that you've had. You lose connections with people because you've put work above everything else in your life. No one's coming with a trophy. No one's coming with a trophy. Not a person. Your employer isn't even coming with a trophy. You die in the role that you're in because you're so burnt out and you become so bad at showing up every single day, you're going to get replaced. No one is coming with a trophy. That is an area that you need to heal. There is some reason why you feel like you have to just run yourself ragged and do everything and never take a break and go constantly from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. That is a you thing. Why are you allowing yourself to do that? It is not noble. It's not impressive. You need to have boundaries around your work and around your life. I didn't just build a business. I built a version of me that could carry it. That was the hardest and most important work of all. So I don't know if anybody got anything from today's podcast, but I in no means am trying to hinder someone from stepping into something that they need to do. But I do want you to have awareness around all that comes with it. Business is a blessing. Business ownership is a blessing. Having a team is a blessing. But it's going to require you to level up in every single area of your life. And if you're willing to take on that challenge, do it. If you're not, don't. But thank you so much for listening to today's episode on the Unsweetened Truth Podcast. I look forward to talking to you guys again soon.